Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We're going to have a look here very quickly at the Cass report. This has been released today, and it does deserve a full video on just that report, and I'll do that tomorrow. But with the release today, some things are self-evident. It, of course, relates only to England and Wales. Scotland has a different way of doing things, but the lessons are there to be learned wherever these things happen. It was looking predominantly at the Tavistock Clinic and the way that children were treated or misused, abused, harmed. There was no follow-up. There was no real exposition to children to inform them of what was going to happen. They said, "Oh yes, we'll change your gender, fine," and off they went. And some appallingly bad stuff was done. Think Mengele. This was what they were doing. They were doing experimentation on children. Most of them, 97.5%, weren't trans. There were so many other problems that would have been picked up at an earlier stage had there been psychiatric and psychological evaluation. There was none. It was just, yes, no problem, and into the mill they went, and out they come, bits changed, bits hacked off, bits implanted, and told to be happy now. And of course they weren't happy. They weren't happy at all because they were never trans, and now they were destroyed, sterilised on a conveyor belt of eunuch creation. The Cass report lays it all open and bare. And if there's one thing we can take away from it, it is that Alister Jack did actually the right thing. When he cancelled the gender bill, he saved children's lives. The self-ending rate for these children is over 12 times higher than the background rate. That is because they are deeply, deeply troubled, not misgendered. It will make interesting reading for the SNP. They, after all, were the ones wanting to bring in the gender reform bill, and every aspect of that bill would be wrong, according to the Cass report. It gets every single important issue wrong. The main reason is it listened to the trans lobby rather than took real, sensible, professional advice. Simply claiming to be a woman because you claim to be a woman isn't enough. There must be studies. There must be assessment. There must be a lot of explanation of what will happen to you. None of this happened within that bill. None of it happened at Tavistock. And the devastation Tavistock caused is immeasurable and will likely lead to one of the largest suits against the NHS in its history. A suit running perhaps into the billions. And Humza Yousaf wanted to make that something that Scots would have to pay as well. Simply taking your children, churning them around in the machine, putting them out the back end in a different sexual, presentation, bits hacked off, bits inserted. Add that, of course, to the act which would have allowed authorities to remove children from parents simply because the parents weren't performing the job the authorities wanted them to do, the Responsible Adult Act, and you can see how dangerous these things would have been had they gone through. Imagine a child randomly being snatched by a local authority, operated on, having bits removed, churned out the back end and told to go fend for themselves in a harsh, unloving world. And without access to that child's parents at the end of it as well. What do they think was going to happen? Well, I think it's quite clear what will have happened. There will have been the ending of people by their own hand on rates hitherto unseen. It would have been an absolute slaughter of the innocents. And it will all have come from the SNP and their desire to do this to children. What is it with the SNP and children? They're absolutely fascinated by children, aren't they? All the time. They aim them. They target them. They want them. They desire them in some cases. They're a very strange lot in the SNP. And then now they're backed up, of course, by the Greens. And if you can get stranger than that, then tell me. One only has to look at the likes of Maggot Chapman to see exactly where they lie on that spectrum of desiring children. The sexualisation continues unabated, asking 5-year-olds how they feel when they touch themselves in a report. This is what the SNP and the Greens are. And now the Cass report backs it up. It backs up and says that everything, and I mean every single thing that they did through that gender bill, through that selected parent bill or selected individual bill, would have been devastatingly harmful for the children of Scotland. Thankfully, Alister Jack stood in, grew a pair, grew a spine, and said no. But imagine that there wasn't an Alister Jack. Imagine today there was that Responsible Parent Act or the Responsible Adult Act, and there was the Gender Reform Act on the books. Any child that said, "Oh, mummy, I think I'd like to be a girl," and the parent says, "No, you're a boy," could be taken. A teacher could hear that at the school gate. At the end of the day, you go to pick your child up. That child's not there. It's in a home, being groomed, being manipulated, being forced to go onto an operating table, having medication forced down the child's neck, with no parent there to say no. And at the end of it, the child comes out, and the child isn't trans. The child is a boy, now locked in a female-presenting form. The parent can't even go and talk to that child, can't comfort that child. The child is left to fend for itself in a home, growing up to be an ill-fit adult. This is what the SNP do. This is the very evil of the SNP. And I can't get over why people who are parents, who see this, still vote for them. Do they think that independence is more important than what the SNP want to do to their children? It's absolutely disgusting. They've got to go. They've got to be voted out. If you are an SNP voter, if you sit there, look at your children, look at the SNP, think what the SNP plan to do to your children, to your friends' children, to your other children in your family. They want to take them from the parents. They want to forcibly change their sex. They want to cut testicles off. They want to delay puberty. They want to churn out an entire generation of eunuchs. Why? You still voting? If you are, you're a fool. If you're not, well done. You've joined the civilized people of the world. You've rejected this evil, intolerant, unforgiving party with its predilection of pedo predators and pervs. And you've taken a step in saving Scotland. And it's just the worst ever. Anyway, I shall round off there. I will do the cast report in full. So keep an eye out for that. It will come out tomorrow. And until then, stay safe, stay well. I will speak to you later. Thanks. Bye.